How is that part of, actually the doing press all day part of releasing a film is kind of, very close to the situation that the characters in your movie are, experiencing, being in the glare of, the media. And
yeah, I'm like walking a very long halftime show walk. I assume you've seen the movie.
Yeah, how many people have seen the movie? Pretty good. Tomorrow, a bunch of people are going to see the movie. Okay, that's pretty good. We've been talking a lot about the emotion of the story of this movie and the technology and how the two things are intertwined, and that's probably a good place to start this conversation, huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it ought to be.
Yes.
Cameras, whatever the media is, painting, whatever the tool you use, that they're tools. They're innocent. There's no medium better or worse than the other. They have their own things. It's like clay, painting. Once I touch Life of Pi, I have a touch on digital cinema. It allows me to see dimension like our eye sees. Once I see dimension, my mind and eyes get sharper, and the flicks doesn't really work, and this and that, and then, one thing leads to the next. In Life of Pi, I did a very little. And then I know I'm in the quest into the next stage of my filmmaking, which is my quest in the next part of my life, which is always about searching what movie means. I don't know what life means. It doesn't
Really?
make sense to observe. No, that's God's job. But we don't know. We're too small to know. So the only thing I understand life or what I'm doing or seemingly have any meaning was a cinema, something flat, 24 frames, something through the viewfinder. There's something that you can make up and that's coherent, that has a storyline, that has a beginning, middle, and end. That's what I believe in. I'm pretty absent-minded. I feel sorry that my family is not here. So my friends, I feel bad. I'm sort of absent-minded person, but I'm very focused in that film world. It used to be film. Now it has changed on me, and I have to change. Otherwise, I'm not being sincere. I'm not dealing with my life or anybody's life right. It's just an existential question for me. So I was in the process of understanding how we see things, how we experience a theatrical experience through a media. And then because of Life of Pi, I know I had to raise, then I saw Hobbit, and people say what I say about Hobbit. Then I saw James Cameron's test. He was promoting 60 frames. Then I understand, 60 frames, you see more clear. The movie used to be flicks. But also in that test, I see that the sword was missing each other by this much. And the performance is like ridiculous. It's not watchable. Then I did my own test of 60 frames. Because at that time, when I do a boxing movie, you cannot see anything in boxing. But when a higher frame rate you see the intention, you see the thoughts behind it, you see action. It's just open up. Strategy, it's a lot smarter. And then I noticed the performance is different. 3D and 2D performance is different. And when you raise the higher frame, the performance looks shallower, more exaggerating. Everything started to fall apart. That movie world, I believe, started to fall apart. It took me a year to understand there's something beyond 60, which is, even psychologically, there's no flicks. What that's like, I'm looking at it, I'm in that world. It's personal, you're engaging in something. Is it possible you engage in the pretended, in a cinematic world that you're actually in the character's foot, in their perspective? The Z-axis, other than X and Y, you have this, you have your space, their space, the whole thing opens up. So I decided to take a leap of faith, and this book came along. There's a halftime show, there's a real battlefield, and what people make of it, and what the soldier really go through it. And you have a young character coming of age, and lost his innocence in the process. And that one day he has to realize, it's a revelation that what he is, where he belonged to. It's ironic. I'm a late developed person at age of 60. I feel like I'm coming of age. Last time I was with Pi. I was in the coming of age stage. I was with Pi. I was with Billy Lynn. I used to be a kid. I don't want to grow up. I'm like Peter Pan. I just want to deal with movie. Some of the grown-up, like producers, the studio, they do their thing. I'm happy to just send me to do the talk, send me to as long as I can make movies. That's all I want to do. Let the adult do their thing. I was even told you don't have to be responsible, but you have to be reasonable. And sometimes I feel I don't even have to be reasonable.
Yeah.
I just have to believe in something, and magic will happen. Like on the movie set, I will just stay there, look like I'm thinking, and then people get things done. 'Cause they just believe in it. It's like I'm like high priest. You just invest your belief in something, and then you just lead the whole army and hopefully the whole world. That will make sense according to your movie, and that's wonderful. I don't want to grow up.
But it's great that you.
But finally, it caught up on me. Life caught up on me. I think I need to grow up just a little bit.
But remain unreasonable.
Yeah.
Which is because if you hadn't been unreasonable, you never would have gotten this.
I try to be a nice guy. I'm a liver. I try to please everybody, but sometimes I can't.
Yeah.
They're different. They cannot be pleased.
So
please one, you lose the other. Anyway, between 60 and 120, I was like belittling, what do I want to do? Do I want to go to the unknown, or do I want to stay movie land? Just try to improve it, try to perfect and take baby steps. Then I decided, and I become a grandfather, and I said, oh, fuck it. I'm not going to wait. A lot of young people here, it just hit me. In the movie Pineapple Express, they have this pot as like a cross. There's a line says, that's the pot your grandchildren be smoking. I feel I'm doing that part. I'm sort of create that for your young audience in the future. The new fantasy, new dream. Can we dream with clarity? But first step, reality is my new guidance. The first steps. I do want, some of you haven't seen it, to leave it open mind. I don't have all the answers, but I took a leap of faith. I think the movie is watchable. I just beg that it's watchable, because I was chasing the media. None of us is good enough for that media. But no. First, I try to look realistic. I try to imitate life. I try to believe as much as I can, being real, and so are the actors and crew. And we take it from there. I still use very simple cinematic language, because that's all the thing I know and all the time we have to put the movie together, because experimental is not, we don't have too much money.
And
it's
as you
47 shooting days.
But with this technology too, fast cutting just wouldn't work. Or it would be beside the point of what you want to do.
The horrifying thing for filmmakers is that it's clear. You're not good enough for it. None of us good enough know what to do. It's better than you are. Everything we learn, the thing we take pride on, you not even realize what it takes. Sometimes weeks into shooting it, wait a minute, the person shouldn't look this way, or that light is ridiculous, or that flag or screen that you put, we always do, or the way people behave on screen. You marry with it. You have a contract with it. They have genres. They have habits. Culture. Subconsciousness. Movie people do that. They're better looking than normal people, and they never have to go to the bathroom. Well, there's a movie thing
Remember
that
that
people
one.
do. you take it for granted, and you invest yourself in it, and you do it, and you make love to it, and you create great art, and that's established. Now you don't have that guidance, you don't have that contract with filmmakers and audience. What do? You're left alone. You feel very much like, after certain movies, I feel I become the movie I was making.
Yeah.
I feel like Billy Lynn in that battlefield. Like, I have my comrade.
Mm-hmm.
It's me against everybody. You've been shot at. You try to survive. It's very much like that. But in a way, you still have a taste of truth. That's good too. That's very rewarding too. I was very nervous yesterday.
Yeah, you were. That's true. But it was,
Yeah.
but it was
It's
great.
not just a movie.
Yeah.
It's a nerve-wracking movie.
Yeah.
But it's a new medium and
Yeah.
launching. I hope we get to the first base. I try to hit a home run
we're past
for a
the
year, and then I forget it. If I get to the first base, that'd be a miracle.
But the vibe at the screenings was great, especially at the midnight show. That was fun. There was a lot of energy there, huh?
I think so. I could tell from the beginning.
Yeah.
To midnight, Friday night, they're all like, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't witness the end.
Yeah.
I hope it goes all right.
So, I mean, in a clear way, as you're describing it, what you're saying is you wanted something that was going to bring you closer to human experience. You went to the 60 frames. It wasn't quite enough. That took you to 120.
It was enough, but it's still you're watching a story.
Yeah, and then when you go to 120 frames, it's bringing you as close as you want to be, but then that's taking you into something that's
something has its own
beyond
thing.
reality. It's like a hallucinatory experience.
It's not mathematical. Like 60 looks like a 20 must be twice this, and 4K must be 8 times in 3D like that. But that's not how it is.
Yeah.
Our eyes do our things. They're separate. They study. They scan. They do these things, and it all goes into our head. The eyes is just our lens. We scan, we get the information in, how we see things in our minds are, in our head, in our heart, and that's something else. What you see it, what you think you see it. I trust my eyes, but through the experience, I cannot really trust. Each time I see it, it just keeps changing on me. Yeah. I urge you to see it again. It'll be a different experience.
The actors saw it for the first time last night, so they were a new audience for the movie too. And
so that
Kristen
talk
Stewart
we
was
lined
telling
up,
me
I was very uptight. Like
Yeah.
they walk up, their face will pop red. I hope they still speak to me, and but they're giving me embrace. That's very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
They hug me, their face will pop. They're like this.
Yeah.
I think the experience is overwhelming. People would get used to it.
Yeah.
It's got to be overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're seeing something new, really new.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
How we react to something we're not used to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm eager, also afraid to know how people respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 years for me. I'm getting on with this.
Yeah.
I'm becoming very comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have problem watching movies. That's weird thing to me. I think that's just a stage I would pass.
Watching 24 frames per second movies from like 1948
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just- Then I watch live, it was strange. It just did something to me.
Yeah.
Maybe I invested too much because I was
Yeah.
making it. I was dreaming about it.
Are you interested in neuroscience?
No, I'm not interested in science, period. By the way, just when we analyze one frame and then when you pick up a frame, there's a blur, there's how different frames put together.
Yes.
When you analyze that, it's very interesting. Somebody should study it. I ask around, I think only 2 universities, one in Canada, one in, I think it's Moscow, is
Mhm.
doing, not neuroscience, but cognitive.
Cognitive
Kind of
science,
how
yeah.
our minds think we see things.
Yes.
That kind of science. I think it's pretty baby yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, somebody should study. Not me. I'm just the guinea pig. But somebody should study. It's very interesting science, actually.
Yeah.
How our mind perceive things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, this story lent itself to do that. the halftime show and the really battlefield, how people perceive soldier and what they really go through. And when you bring their sensation back home, it drives them crazy. They want to shoot them, they want to kill themselves.
Yeah,
it's just overwhelming.
Is that what was it at the core of that story that you felt compelled to film?
It's pretty much that. It's a human story. You know, people ask me, it's an anti-war movie. If you have to fight, you have to fight. It's like global warming. That's a bad war. There's nothing I need to say. It's like from left to right, you know it's bad. This is how do a human being, how do we react to the situation, how to deal with it. That's the story. It's a coming of age story. I think the media has something to do with it. It's a new thing. Need an excuse to exercise that look. But most of all, I relate to the young soldier.
Yeah.
You know? Sometimes what I do movie and what people think I do, or when they watch movies, seems to be two different things. But they project onto me, like I made that happen. But in real life, my life, it's very much like the soldier. You're with a bunch of soldiers, your comrades, and you try to survive. You duck the bullets. What people, you know, it's not made. I have to make sense of what I do. But when I deal with the media, it's not subconscious. I don't know how to explain. It's just do the thing, do what you have to do, and you're a comrade. You do it together, whatever makes things work. And then people will ask me why this, and I have to create the whole reasoning. And people ask me all kinds of questions. What do you think about the war? Where do you see the future of Chinese cinema? Do I wake up in the morning and think, where's the future of Chinese cinema? I think about how do I make that thing work. There's the zest happening, you know, in somebody's face. I'm dealing with filmmaking. That's my life. I associate with this soldier, and that's a very existential question. Between the halftime show and the battle, it's very dramatic. That exam humanity, society, and all that. It's a wealth of material and contrast. And then I did my study, and I get more and more drawn into it. I study soldiers, I talk to them, their traumatic experience, how they come back home, how they feel, what it's like when everything's heightened, how they deal with reality, not reality, but truth of their own, with each other and the world, and how it was projected to them from America, from home, and all that. And I talked to refugees from Iraq and Jordan. Sometimes they're both in one room, the soldier, and, you know, just going through what they went through in the house. It's heart-wrenching. There are people, somebody fuck it up, and they have to live a life between dictatorship and chaos, and it's a compelling story. Your heart just races to both sides. You feel bad for both sides. This is a human story. It's very compelling. Again, I have to come up with a reason why I do it, but it's like
you were just compelled.
Yeah, it's like high frame rate. You just have to do it.
Yeah. And one thing that's interesting that we've been talking about in the last few days is the way that the high frame rate changes the acting. It changes the nature of the performance. It changes the way you're looking at the acting, and I assume it changes things for the actors as well, the expectations that you set for them.
Yeah, it's not any harsher. People could say it's harsh. Yeah, in the beginning it's harsh. But when it's sufficient, when it starts to play out, it's beautiful to look at. Your eyes crave for it. Your eyes want information. It's comforting when you get enough information. It's strenuous when it's not enough. You try to figure something out. When somebody's telling you where to watch, that short focus, or there's the camera work, the montage and stuff like that, it's good for storytelling, but there's a limitation. I think the new kind of digital cinema should be more inviting and more like New York Film Festival movies, except for everybody. It's easier to see. It doesn't need a highbrow to see. But it's apparent.
We try to spread the wealth around, you know.
But it's so of course it's there. You can see it. It's just make it more clear, more depth, and your eyes wander in there. You decide what you want to see. It's more inviting, more respectful, more thoughtful. And I'm pretty sure in 3D, certainly high frame rate, your mind act a lot sharper.
Yes.
Yeah, it's harder to make movie.
Yeah.
But for me, I welcome the challenge.
But also, you were saying the acting doesn't need to be as indicative. In other words,
You would think you pretend nothing happened, but that's bullshit, you know.
Yeah.
The being natural, because they know the lines.
Right.
It's not documentary. They still have to perform.
Right.
You still have close up. You don't have close up in life. You still have to perform. How do you perform in a way that you don't know?
Yes.
You gotta work harder to earn your belief.
Yes.
We still make believe.
Yeah.
So that's the bottom line. It's still
Yeah.
theatrical. That we cannot escape.
Mm-hmm.
You're still watching a story. It's a theatrical experience in a dark house. You invest in something that make believe, but it's just because it's more real, more sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
The rules of the game, the contract you have with audience, I think that changed.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's harder. I don't want to be lazy. I don't want to catch it. I want to catch it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think as young people, they're smarter. They may not be deeper, but they are smarter. Their minds. To bring them into a theater, you need something that's more attractive.
Yeah.
I think the biggest change is attitude, the way you engage in dramatic
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about experiencing rather than you're telling a story being led by a story
Mm-hmm.
or certain style or certain thought.
Mm-hmm.
But rather you experience, you engage, when the time comes. It's not always like, sometimes you still need a third person, the all-known, omnipresent sort of a presence to lay out the circumstance for you. You
Yes.
need introduction. But at moments when you want to go in, like Bill's consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
his own experience, I think this is easier to bring the general audience in.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like a super critic kind of guy to know it and tell everybody, like anybody can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what is so attractive to me. It's the change of attitude.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different mindset. I think every frame rate, I fluctuate frame rate and resolution too. I found each combination that has a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Psychological mindset. It's not even, for normal eyes, you could not tell the difference, what I do there. It's not so much manipulation, rather is like suggesting a mindset that you should experiencing. I would do very little things to cry around suggesting
Mm-hmm.
something, but then at times I'm not putting any comments. I stage something and you go in there and experience. I think there's a lot of potential,
Yeah.
a new territory to explore.
You mentioned frame rate and resolution, but then there's also the question of the light in the
Brightness,
viewing experience.
Yeah. I believe the 3D likes light. They just devour it.
Yeah. And the
I'm t-
glasses, you need a lot of light to.
Plus, when you two eyes, it's not about shape,
Yeah.
shadow. It's details. It's
Mhm.
information. That's the new game of aesthetics,
Mm-hmm.
beauty. It has its own thing. I haven't had a grasp on it. I just want to be different from the movie in the past, how I do movie in the past. But I know there's something. It just looks beautiful
Yeah.
to my eyes, and to do that. It's humanly a little impossible for now. It's very
Mhm.
difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the future films, I already talked to camera
To James Cameron.
manufacturer. Yeah. They have to up their games to make it lighter, not so humongous, and better achieve more sensitive. Because
Yeah.
shooting higher frame rate, you lose light. It's darker to begin with, and the projection needs to, the projection was, they're pretty bad.
Yeah.
They need to, upgrade
Mm-hmm.
so we can do this. Our things. I don't need an army and tons of lights. It shouldn't be this difficult. When it's this difficult, people don't want to make movie. They want to tell a story. They want to
Mm-hmm.
do the movie thing. They want to spend time like me, just like how do we do this? It's so clumsy. It's like making very old movie, like in the 20s. The cameras, they're huge, and that's not idea. So everybody has to do their thing.
Do you feel like you'd want to make a movie in 35 millimeter again?
If I have a film, yeah. I don't want to do digital that imitates film. Yeah. I think every media has its own thing, and I don't want to make 3D and light them, treat them like 2D, like 3D enhancement of 2D. Yeah. That didn't make sense to me. But it's it's a disappearing art. Not just directors we want to do it. It's the lab, the craftsmen. They're almost they're kind of gone. And now the best people is the oldest people doing it, and soon they'll be retired. It's very sad. But on the other hand, this is something new. I don't know. I'm full of curiosity. I'm curious. One answer opened up 10 questions. So I'm in a round of chasing this for now.
And you decided with this film, by the way, in the role of Billy Lynn, to work with an actor who had never been in a movie before, which also works very well for his character, Joe Alwyn, and he's incredible in the film. Did you want to work with someone who was new?
It become necessity.
Yes. Why is that?
Fresh experience is good.
Yeah.
If somebody fit for the role is not a fresh face, you know that already. And there's no such person exist. So from pretty early on, we just go through agencies, look for new actors. The age range is very, it's quite young. The same thing with Pi. It's just like if there's obvious choice, already. You just go for it. Fresh face. I like fresh faces, especially trained one who never done professional movies. Like Joe. And you saw him. Some of you saw him. It's a very compelling face. A top-notch talent. So it's a great pleasure working with him.
Maybe we'll do a couple questions, Jim.
Thank you.
Here's the mic.
Thank you very much for an incredible evening in a movie theater. And I say movie theater because right now it's very hard to get people to go into a movie theater. Price is one reason, but there's also all this new technology like VR. But last night I felt it was such an intimate experience watching this new technology with human beings around me. There was something very special about that took me back to why I like to go to movies and movie theaters. And my question is this going to become so expensive that ticket prices are now going to be $50 to go see a movie? I'm joking, but I'm serious about who can go see these things. And how does this fit in with VR, in your view?
I told you I didn't want to make baby steps. I want people to see it and chase it, at least for myself. So I put that aside. When the movie was set up in the studio of Sony, before Sony was TriStar, we talked about 60 frame, 2K. Any theater who did Hobbit could do it. There's tens of thousands of theaters around the world. It's already can do it. And the ticket price wouldn't be that much different. But then I got to this. What I want to say is that when it becomes popular, the price will go down.
But it hasn't.
No, it's the first one.
The other technology.
It might take 20 years. I don't know. It might take 5 years, 3 years. I don't know. I just throw it out there, and New York Festival, here can show it, and there'll be no more than 4 or 5 places. They make a great effort. It's very expensive now. Don't mind they charge you. Believe me, what they charge you is very, very reasonable. I think the goodness of this is that I can create on the different formats according to the theater's accommodation. I have a version of 60 frames per second to 3D, 2K, and I have 120 2D. Yeah, where it's although it's 2D, but it's because it's a flick free, it's no stroke free, and it feels like 3D in some ways, but not really. The picture is just more lively because it's you know, get rid of this, so that's something new. And then of course I can grade it down to 24, both 2D and 3D. And then Dolby Vision is a new thing where black is black. They stretch the range of contrast and color. It's really beautiful, and they can in Dolby, the new Dolby theaters, they can do 120, 2K, both 2D and 3D. There are many formats, and I'm sure you can watch it on your iPhone too. I hope eventually is what you see yesterday plus high dynamic range from Dolby, but it's not there yet. When it gets popular, the price will go down.
And VR?
I don't. People ask now a question. I have like a rude answers that I'm a filmmaker. I would like to think my VR is better than anybody's VR. Let me take you through. I don't want you to wander around by yourself. Let VR do their thing, I do my thing. But I think the tool is very helpful for us to visualize, plan the movie. And I think we can help them in creating nuances in their world. I think we can relate it. VR is such promising new media, and we don't quite know other than education, demonstration, video games. We don't really know what it can do. I think it has great potentials. Maybe the two of them, we can help out each other. But right now, other than pre-visualization, I, you know.
Hi, Uncle. How are you today?
Yeah, tired.
I hope you feel better.
I'm halfway in the long halftime walk.
You're almost there. So my question is, when you pick up Joe as your leading character,
Who? I'm sorry.
Joe.
Joe.
Yeah. What's something special about him that attracts you, like his foundation of technique, or his innocence, or his like truthfulness?
Yeah, everything. He's a looking good. He's a good-looking guy. That doesn't hurt. And compelling. And usually, when somebody hit me as my lead man, or become my avatar, you know, the lead man is really the better-looking version of the director. I think I see myself in this guy somehow. Their kind of talents look aside when you coach them, we're seemingly directing them, from my experience, like you reminded them what they used to know. They're like little Buddhas to me. It's like something they already know and do well in the past life. You just reminded them just of something they already know. It feels like that. The kid in Life of Pi gave me that creep too, that feeling. He was never trained, and Joe was even better. He was like trained at top London school, and he has all-American Texan boy look, more than Texan boys. So just giving the nuances, giving a dialect coach, and making adapt, and just losing him out less, English, and he is there. When I see a top-notch talent, I just know it. I can smell them like 2 miles away. Shortly after the first reading, shortly it was started, it was just like, bingo. The reason, other than the look and their vibe they give you, and the two things I look for, they become your movie. You don't just bring them to the movie has to go to them. Is this look, this guy, is my life for the next 2 years and become in the movie? Am I willing to invest that much? Everybody's hoping to this person. And you have a feeling for that, you can feel the vibe. The other thing is when you pitch them the situation, the character, how naturally they just get into, like every cell turned into that. You don't even have to teach them. They just function that way. That's a tremendous talent. Normally people look at their performability, how much they can perform. They can do this and that. I don't really care that much. I don't think that's as important as the willingness or the talent they can invest in the situation you pitch them. And Joe is one of those, he just stay there. So when you see that, you know, I know the movie is hard, but God gave me the challenge, but he gave me this kid, and let's do it. He did give me that feeling. I pondered about it for a week because he's very earnest. The book is the book. The author didn't think the book is satirical, but it's acerbic. It's just like really acerbic. Do you have a better word for acerbic?
Sounds good to me.
Oh,
It
okay.
feels that way in the movie.
If it's good for you, it's good for me. But when you look at the film, it's very real. And he's very real. Do I lose the satirical part, the crazier part in the book? And so I was pondering about that, about my movie, not him. I have no doubt in him.
Thank you so much. I hope you feel better.
Yeah, all the way in the back. Yeah, maybe you should, let's ditch the microphone. Just, no, I just want you to speak in a loud, clear voice.
I don't know. It's like a question people ask me, what's the future of Chinese cinema? But I do know I want more filmmakers. I want at least go to the first base with the audience. I would like to think I hit a home run, but it's not going to happen because it's overwhelming experience. I could see when people see it, it's like that. They're going to have a lot of questions. Even resistance is going to be split this way, that way. That's only natural. But I hope enough people start pondering about that possibility. And I can only hope my colleagues, the filmmakers, fellow filmmakers, some of them see this and willing to give it a try. I hope there's no television. I feel the whole time, 2 years, I was an option Greek without a paddle. It was very difficult. It was very hard. Thank you. It was very hard. The option Greek. It's like everything's hitting on you. Occasionally, I can use comments like that as some encouragement. But thank you. So I don't feel so lonely. Us making this movie. I do believe there's a chance for something different. I think that's what digital should be doing, digital cinema. I will also, at the same time, preserve film. I'm on the board. I donate money, my time, but that's film. But this is what it is. Let's see what it can be. I would like to see this as a seducer or whatever. Yeah, I very much feel like a guinea pig.
This will have to be preserved.
I don't know. I really appreciate it. This is a great launching pad near Film Festival, and they put up with all the there's complexity. It's very complex to put up a show like a few shows like that. It's very complicated. We jump at least 15 years. It's very hard. So everybody try our best. That's all I know, and I have hopes.
It's been amazing for us, and thank you for coming to us. And what about the future of Chinese cinema?